years back, I turned to Craigslist to hunt for a room to rent. My aim was to find a place where I could share the rent with a roommate or two. It took me around a week of searching and chatting with various owners before I stumbled upon a place that seemed just right. The owner, who was also going to be my roommate, appeared to be a regular, friendly guy around my age. He gave me the lowdown on the place, painting a picture of what I could expect. Everything sounded fantastic, and I was brimming with excitement. With not much stuff to haul, I quickly packed everything into my car's trunk. In just a matter of days, I embarked on a 30-minute drive to what would soon become my new home. The house was situated on the outskirts of the main town, nestled in a wooded area. As I approached, a long driveway stretched far from the road, leading to the property. However, upon my arrival, the reality didn't quite match my expectations. It turned out to be a weathered old wooden home, handed down from Aaron's parents. It appeared to be at least a century old. Despite this, the images I had seen on Craigslist depicted a modern interior, leading me to assume that significant renovations had been undertaken. Leaving my belongings in the car, I made my way to the door and knocked. Aaron, the owner, greeted me and proceeded to give me a tour. While the exterior lacked luster, the interior told a different story. It was impeccably maintained, spotlessly clean, and clearly refurbished not too long ago. Pleased with what I saw, I wasted no time in moving my belongings in that very night. Several days passed without any issues. It felt less like I had found the place through Craigslist, and more like I was just living with a friend. Aaron's job in town kept him away for most of the day, and since I worked from home, I had the entire house to myself. Well, almost the entire house. There was one door that remained consistently locked. I didn't feel it was my place to pry, so I never broached the subject with Aaron. Still, it left me curious. It was most likely the basement door, which struck me as odd, because Aaron had described the house as a single-story dwelling, without mentioning anything about a basement. A couple more days drifted by before something peculiar unfolded. One evening, Aaron returned home with some fast food for dinner before retiring early to bed, prepping for the next day's work. I lingered up a bit longer before following suit, settling into bed. However, sleep eluded me for some reason. It was just one of those restless nights. After a while, I heard Aaron's bedroom door creak open. I tuned in, although there was nothing particularly noteworthy to occupy my attention. Silence persisted for a couple of minutes before I discerned the slow, measured footsteps of Aaron making their way down the hallway towards my door. As he passed by, an unexpected halt ensued. The floorboards creaked faintly, accompanied by a soft thump against the door, as though he was leaning against it. Time seemed to stretch as he lingered behind the door. I couldn't fathom how long it lasted, but eventually he retreated, his steps veering away from his room towards the main hallway. Moments later, a door creaked open and then closed. I was utterly baffled. The situation felt incredibly bizarre and unsettling. Despite knowing Aaron for some time, I couldn't reconcile his behavior with the person I thought I knew. What could he possibly be up to, and where did he disappear to each night? I remained awake for as long as possible, hoping to catch him returning, but he never did. As the nights passed, a troubling pattern emerged. Every time I retired to bed, approximately 30 minutes later, Aaron would emerge from his room. He'd pause briefly by my door before proceeding to the locked one. It became apparent that he never slept in his own room. Instead, he retreated to the mysterious locked door each night. The secrecy surrounding his actions only heightened the sense of unease, making the situation all the more disconcerting. One night, I resolved to unravel the mystery that had been gnawing at me as I was starting to feel increasingly uneasy. I retired to bed, determined to observe Aaron's nightly routine. True to form, he emerged from his room and made his way towards mine. As soon as I heard the distinct click of the other door being unlocked, I sprang into action. Hastily, I ventured into the hallway, catching Aaron off guard as he stood beside the now open door. Startled, he turned to face me, his expression betraying surprise. "Hey, is everything okay, Aaron?" I inquired, concern evident in my voice. He simply stared at me, his eyes wide open, still reeling from the sudden shock I had given him. "Why do you keep going to that door every night?" I finally broke the silence, my impatience evident in my tone. We stood on opposite ends of the dimly lit hallway, but I could sense that something was amiss with Aaron. Our gaze locked, and I took a tentative step closer. Just as I uttered his name, he bolted around the corner and dashed towards the back door, flinging it open before disappearing into the enveloping darkness of the woods beyond. Trembling with shock, I watched him vanish into the night, unable to comprehend the whirlwind of thoughts racing through my mind. I shut the back door firmly behind me. With trembling hands, I retrieved a knife from the kitchen and approached the door Aaron had unlocked, determined to uncover the truth. Upon inspection, it indeed turned out to be a basement, but its appearance contrasted starkly with the rest of the house. There was no light switch, and it was evident that this area had not received the same renovations as the rest of the property. The walls bore the signs of age, with wood decay evident throughout. I found myself torn between curiosity and terror, debating whether to descend into the unknown depths below. With each passing moment, my fear only intensified. Eventually, I made a swift decision. I turned on my heels and sprinted back to my room, hastily packing my belongings into 2 suitcases. Without a second glance, I loaded them into my car and sped away, putting as much distance between myself and that unsettling house as possible. I never crossed paths with Aaron again, and he made no attempt to reach out to me. The enigma of what transpired in that house remained unsolved, but I wanted no part in it. As time passed, the unsettling events faded from my memory, relegated to the recesses of my mind. Yet, almost 5 years later, a nagging curiosity resurfaced, compelling me to revisit the events of that fateful period. I turned to the internet in search of answers, only to uncover a series of perplexing revelations. The house, it seemed, had been razed to the ground years earlier. An article dated 5 years ago, mere months after my departure, reported the property as abandoned. It dawned on me that Aaron's flight into the night had likely been permanent. As I delved deeper into the archived records, I stumbled upon a chilling revelation. The house had been demolished following the discovery of what authorities critically referred to as criminal findings. The lack of further elaboration only served to heighten my disquiet. For weeks I found myself haunted by the implications of what transpired within those walls. Though such occurrences may be rare in the present day, this unsettling episode served as a stark reminder of the importance of vigilance in an uncertain world.